thing.
And welcome into our show tonight, Tennessee Tuesday. I'm your host, John Blankenship, along with my co-host, Jason Boshears. And Jason trying a little something different tonight here with a little background music. A little bump music is what we call it. We're going to change up my settings here. I'm going to do that a little different, but want to kind of play with that tonight and have a little fun. And welcome into Tennessee Tuesday this evening. We do have a great show planned. We're going to talk a little bit of division business tonight, things happening in the division, also in the American Federation, lots of stuff going on. And then I'll kind of step back from maybe the main seat, and then Jason's going to take it after our first break. And I don't get interviewed a lot myself, so Jason's going to kind of let me do a little talking tonight about the Tennessee Division Commander position and seeking re-election. And I'll tell you some things and goals I've got, and he may have some questions. And if you've got some questions tonight in the comments, we'll try to maybe answer a few of those too. So we always do appreciate you being here with us. And we need to start out with our disclaimer tonight. Jason, if you want to pop that up for us, and we will tell you, of course, the opinions and the views that you hear and expressed on this broadcast tonight are solely our own and not the SCV, the GEC, any divisions, brigades, camps, subsidiaries of the SCV. It's solely our own opinion tonight. And Jason, welcome in. How you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. John, you look great. I'm sitting there looking at this now, both of us up there. I probably should have gone and put a coat and tie on. Tell you what, you look great, and you're clean shaven. I got the wool going. So.
Well, actually, I didn't shave today. There's just a little bit going, but you can probably see it on camera tonight. Again, I don't dress up like this all the time, but I thought this is a special night. I would put the official stuff on tonight. So again, Jason, it's okay that you're not dressed up. You've got the logo. Perfect. We didn't talk about this ahead of time. This was kind of a last minute plan.
Well, and I think it's wonderful that you did that. And you can see this show is changing from week to week, like the background that you see back behind us, from battlefields to courthouse square, because it's our history to tell. John, do you want to say a few words about that?
Absolutely. I'm going to pop this up on the screen there for just a moment there, Jason, so you can see that from battlefields to courthouse squares, because it's our history to tell. And we've changed the logo up there a little bit, so we'll be talking more about that over the next few weeks. But that slogan you see at the bottom, because it's our history to tell. Jason, let me tell you a little background to that. A local person here in this area where I live was at a speaking engagement, and they something that's really anti what we stand for and believe in, but I saw it, and they just made a little statement that said they were talking about their history. And then I thought, you know what, if we've got the truth, it's been handed down in the charge 120 years ago this year, for us to tell the story of the Confederate soldier, it is our history to tell. No one is going to tell it correctly or right like we can tell it. So it's our history to tell. And we want to do that on this podcast. And I know that's the goal of SCV Chat and the network as a whole. And that little slogan there, I was playing around with that at the top, from battlefields to courthouse squares. We're talking about the era of them on the battlefield fighting, to what we fight today to defend their monuments, their history, to those courthouse squares where those monuments are. So I hope you like that little slogan. Every once in a while, I get creative and come up with something pretty neat.
Well, and this serves multiple purposes. First of all, you're correct, because we are talking about from the time that they got started on this, even their ancestors, going back to the Rev War. And we're talking that to how we're facing our modern day enemies, how they face their enemies, and now how we're facing our modern day enemies. And we do have modern day enemies. You know, I was telling John just right before we got started, they had tried to attack me like crazy. I have had to face that. I had 4 attacks over the weekend.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's just, it's the nature of what we do. All of this goes back to when I was doxxed, goes back to before the forest reinterment, and then commander-in-chief, and it just still continues. It just revolves in a cycle on this. But, you know, but this is true because we have our modern day enemies, and that's where the courthouse square comes in. And it is our history to tell. John is very correct about that. You know, it started out when we started out with SCV Chat and all of that. It's, remember the whole taking back the narrative, which was something that started back when Paul Grambling was commander-in-chief, and Donnie Kennedy, our current commander-in-chief, he was chief of heritage operations, and it was to take back the narrative. Now we're just going to tell the true and complete history. You know, the commercial that they play on there, the Walls Could Talk commercial. Yeah, I wrote that when I was LT, and it's all of this modern day things. But it was to purpose of the museum was to tell the true and complete story, and that's what these shows are about. And then to show that and this is what I love about it, we've got John come up with this new background that you're seeing right there. And that is to show that we're growing the show. We want the show to continue to grow, to continue to evolve. We don't want to do the same thing over and over and over again. We want it. Yes, we do need to show our media campaigns out there, and we need to do things a certain way so people can see that, okay, this is SCV Chat, this is Tennessee Tuesday. But the shows itself, but they have to evolve. And that's what I love to see about this coming up. And then we have got all kinds of comments coming up.
Let's go through some of those tonight, Jason. Well, I'll jump through a few here to get started off. We've got several regulars that are here with us every week. And over the past few weeks, I've seen some new names that have been commenting and new viewers. So we are so glad that you're with us. And we do hope you enjoy this show. Hope you learn something from it. Hope you laugh from time to time and you get something out of this. I do want to make a quick programming note tonight, Jason. I know that there is a speech that's coming up tonight at 8 o'clock Central Time, the State of the Union. So I know there's a lot of folks that are going to want to watch that tonight. So we're going to try to be done right around 8 o'clock to make sure that folks that want to view that will be able to watch this and that as well. So again, hello to Mr. Owens there, who is with us this evening. Also, Ryan Rogers, Jason, there in Alabama. Hope he's doing well tonight. He's with us, I believe, most every week. So we appreciate him taking time out of out of his day. Johnny Jenkins joining us as well from up in Springfield, Missouri. Glad he's here tonight. Toby Oakley, of course, is one of our regulars here on the program. Glad to have him, as well as Daniel joining us tonight. Good evening to him. And Jason, a couple more of these here are folks that are commenting tonight. We do appreciate these comments, and we like interacting with you throughout the show. That's always very important to us, that the viewers are involved in this video podcast, and that just what makes it more interesting, that you feel you've got a part of it. And we're listening to what you're saying there. Hello to Ryan tonight, and also Mr. Steve Reed. I hope everyone's having a good week. Yes, having a great one. Hope he is as well. And one more, of course, Al joining us there from Tullahoma. I hope he's having a great evening as well. And let's get a couple of more of these in here, Jason. We've got lots of folks, and we like to try to recognize you. Kyle Thompson, our division commander in Kentucky, joining us tonight. A clear 48-degree day, 70 degrees on the way. It was been a little cool here in West Tennessee.
Same here. And, we've been in the teens the last 2 nights. So
yeah,
I'm hoping spring's right around the corner. I was in Columbia, South Carolina on Friday, and it was 82 degrees.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Back to cold Tennessee. Daniel Brooks joining us this evening here. Let's say get some thanks there for attending the Bluegrass Brigade fundraiser at the 2026 reunion. There you go. So a shout out to you there, Jason.
Oh, and it was a great event. And I want to thank the Bluegrass Brigade, everything. They're working on to try to make this 2026 SCV National Reunion in Lexington, Kentucky. They're going above and beyond, and I'm proud of those boys up in Kentucky, and I'm really proud of those men in the Bluegrass Brigade.
Absolutely. David Daniels, don't let genealogy cause you to pass up a recruit. Yes, David will help you, and he's been working on several. I know I've been in some of the emails that he's working on getting new members into our organization and finding their Confederate ancestry. If you need help with that, David will be happy to help you out and help you find that ancestor. Or maybe you've hit a brick wall. If you do genealogy like me, you hit those brick walls, and it's always good to have another set of eyes look at it, and David would be happy to help you out there. Kim joining us tonight from Jacksonville, Florida. Hope all is happening well down that way. Hope the temperatures are good, maybe a little warmer than we are. And then Derek Glover joining us tonight from Jamestown. Derek, good to see you. And he says he likes that slogan. I hope that's catchy. I hope that makes a difference. And remember, this is our history. It is our story to tell of our ancestors, our blood. Who better to tell it than us? Also, let's see here. Rusty Hardy joining us there from the Keller Camp in Hot Springs. Good to see him tonight. And Sean McFall checking in as well from Florida. Of course, he's got a program on SCV Chat. We'll be talking about his show a little bit later on. And let's see, coming in here tonight, our Lieutenant Commander of the division, Rich Garcia. Never surrender to our enemies. That's correct, up in Gainesboro. So hope Rich is doing well this evening. Also, Ray Walton joining us from Hanover, Virginia. I believe Ray is a new one to us tonight, or a first-time commenter. We're glad Ray is with us this evening.
Yes.
And a couple of more before we get into some more talk here. David Pope joining us there in the Valley of East Tennessee in Camp 87 there. Glad to have him here with us tonight, too. And then, of course, Daniel Brooks joining there on some new home windows and information you've helped him out with on the Forest statue. So,
yes.
Another shout out tonight. How are those new windows working out for you, Jason?
Oh, man, I tell you, going from a window from 1904 to 2026, there's nowhere near the amount of noise. Don't feel the breeze coming through. So I'm curious to see how it's going to play out with this weather, see how much better the unit hasn't had to work as hard. So I'm hoping it's going to save me some on my heating bill, but I'll really see how it does in the summer. So this is, it was a long time coming.
Absolutely. Hello to a couple more folks. Jim Collinsworth, our division chaplain, joining us tonight. Good evening to Jim. Also, Jordy Barnett from East Tennessee. They're getting ready to host the division reunion for Tennessee, and we'll be talking about that and the details here again in just a little while. So There are some of those folks that are joining us this evening, Jason. We've got a good show tonight planned, lots of things to talk about. Looking forward to telling you some of my vision here of the division and the SCV, where I'd like to see it go, and work on some things and complement the things that are being done, because there's a lot of folks in our division that really, really work hard. So, yes. Jason, let's kind of jump into a couple of things, and we'll take our first break. We need to probably talk about our sponsors tonight, because we do have some new folks that have joined us. And again, we want to shout out to some of these folks here for their sponsorship of SCV Chat and Tennessee Tuesday. Of course, you see the Patreon members scrolling across your screen now. These folks have partnered up with SCV Chat to make this possible through Patreon. You can be one of those too and have your name scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and know you're supporting, telling the story of our ancestors through SCV Chat and the many different programs that are a part of the network. Jason, you want to comment on some of that?
Well, you've pretty much just covered everything right there. Now, there are different levels that you can contribute. You can do the Feed the Moose level, which is $2.50. $2.50 a month. And the reason why it was named the Feed the Moose level was because of Harrison Dawes. All of us know him as Moose, and he's, always a broke college student. And now he's no longer a college student, but I think he's still broke.
Still broke. So he got that part solved yet.
Yes. So you do the $2.50 level. Then you have the $10 level, and that is the real chat head level. And then you have the $30 a month level, which is the merchandise level. And I'm at that level, and I've already received something, and I got an email that they're fixing to send me something else. So about every 3 months, they have been sending me stuff. So this is, so it really does. And this is merchandise that, according to Connor and Harrison, they don't get. So, and I think there's some more merchandise that's fixing to come out on that. And then you have our show sponsors. And the show sponsors are people like Dr. Chris Cummings. And I know that you know him, John. I know he was on my staff when I was CIC. But do you know Dr. Cummings? Would you like to speak on it?
Yeah, super nice guy and super knowledgeable. Of course, when you're wanting somebody in the medical field, Jason, you want somebody that knows what they're doing and that can get you solutions and help you find answers. And Dr. Cummings can do that. I know he's a specialist in knee pain, and you need some knee care and kind of look at those issues you may be dealing with. Dr. Chris Cummings there at Modern Medicine Southern Hospitality. He can take care of you there in Oxford. So thank you to Dr. Cummings for sponsoring our program tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Cummings, for that. Our next one would be past Commander-in-Chief Larry McClooney and his new book, Paradox of Freedom, A History of Black Slaveholders in America. You can go to booksbylarry.com and purchase this book, and several of the other books that I think all of his full catalog is on Books by Larry. Yes. And, Bridges, Bayous, and Riverboats and Bayous, that's a good book. In Defense of Beauregard was one of my favorites of his. And that's really a very good book. And I want to thank past Commander-in-Chief Larry McClooney. If you want to sponsor an independent creator, and this is Larry going out and writing these books and getting these books published, and you can go to his website and purchase them there. So I want to thank him for what he's doing. And then we have Todd Terry, 31st Regiment Engraving, with Southern-themed items and custom laser engraved gifts. 31strengraving.com. I have seen some of the work that they have done, and this is an SCV member out of California, and they do wonderful work. And it says Southern themed items and custom work. So you notice the bracelet that is on there. You can order that bracelet with your ancestor on there. So it's really nice to get things like that out there. And then we've had a few more that have come on recently. One of them is the museum at Market Hall in Charleston, South Carolina. And as it says there, if the flag is out, we are open. This is owned by the United Daughters of the Confederacy. The hours, Thursday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you've never been, I would encourage anybody to go. I've been there every time I go to Charleston. You have to go down to Market Square, and you have to go into the museum at Market Hall. It is fantastic. They've got so many little items all over the place, and I hope many of you went there when we had the reunion in Charleston just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's when we got to see it. A very nice museum. Of course, love Charleston, and that was one of the highlights wanted to see.
Oh, yes. And I want to thank them for coming on board and being a sponsor. And another one that's a brand new one is Beauregard's Tailor. And it's a family business driven, proudly offering authentic War Between the States reproductions. They do accurate shirts, coats, frock coats. Everything is accurate. They do all of their own research, and they do fantastic work. And I'm happy that they have come on board. And you notice their logo, not one stitch back. So they do a wonderful job. And I want to thank them for coming on board. And that is Beauregard's Tailor Shop. So,
yes, so you visit them online, Beauregard'sTailor.shop. And you will find all the services and the products that they offer. Was looking them up after I learned that they're a new sponsor to learn more about them. Some great looking stuff coming out there, and they've got a wide variety and big inventory as well. So check them out. Again, we thank our sponsors, Jason, for making our shows possible here on SCV Chat as we continue to see this grow. And if you'd like to become a sponsor at one of the show sponsor levels or a Patreon member, the simplest way to do this is go to scvchat.com. All the information you need, any contact information there is available. You can learn about all the shows and what SCV Chat is about. As you said, Jason, taking the narrative back, and that's exactly what's happening and what we want to continue to do as we help Connor and Moose grow this network.
Yes, sir. And we all have to work in this together. Nobody needs to be an island by themselves. We can all lean on each other and support each other. Now, we don't always have to agree, but as like the great Ed Butler said, you can disagree and not be disagreeable.
That's true.
You don't have to agree on everything, but we do have enemies out there. And there's nobody in the Sons of Confederate Veterans, United Daughters of the Confederacy, Military Order of Stars and Bars that are any of my enemies, because I've seen my enemies. And my enemies are never in those rooms with those people. So we can all work together and support each other. And that's what we should be doing. We are stronger together.
You're exactly right. Well, we're into the 7 o'clock hour on a Tuesday evening. It is February the 24th. This month just about come and gone. We'll go ahead and take our first break, Jason. I'm going to come back, and then you're going to kind of take it for a moment, and we're going to kind of swap roles here just a little bit, and you may have some questions, and we'll talk some things about our upcoming elections in the Tennessee division. We'll be right back after this.
When my mother was in college, she danced with Confederate veterans. To me, it wasn't that far away. You know, my father knew this. My mother knew this. Almost 50 years ago, I joined the Sons of Confederate Veterans. In those days, we weren't concerned about saving monuments or any of those things. That wasn't necessary. In fact, none of us had any remote idea that it would ever come up. We can't just sit there and react. We have to be proactive. Or, as Robert E. Lee said, the best way to disrupt your enemy's plans is to strike first. Everyone should do all in his power to collect and disseminate the truth, in the hope that it may find a place in history and descend to posterity. History is not the relation of campaigns and battles and generals or other individuals, but that which shows the principles for which the South contended and which justified her struggle for those principles. If you're looking for some place to be where you think you're going to accomplish something to save our history, go to the Sons of Confederate Veterans. I'm Thomas Lee Jesse. I'm a descendant of Private Daughtery Gilmer, a Confederate veteran.
Was your great-grandfather a traitor or a patriot? Today's politically correct are trying hard to take away the heritage of the brave Confederate soldiers who fought and died for their land. But one thing is certain, they can't change history. Those Confederate soldiers were fighting for the same reason soldiers fight today. They were fighting against homeland invasion. We believe that the desecration of the bravery, patriotism, and honor of those men should not be allowed. They were outmanned and outsupplied, but they were never outfought. They were proud men who believed in fighting to protect their dignity, their homes, and their families. If you're the male descendant of a Confederate soldier, we'd welcome you to join with us in the preservation of that heritage. We're the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Check us out on the internet at scv.org or call us at 800-MY-SOUTH. That's 800-697-6884. Sons of Confederate Veterans, dedicated to preserving the reputation of men like Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, and your great-grandfather.
And welcome back in to Tennessee Tuesday. It's a wonderful Tuesday evening here in West Tennessee. For me, Jason's in Middle Tennessee, and we are glad you're here for the program tonight. A great show so far, Jason. Always enjoy doing this after what's been a long day of work for me, and getting to come in and talk about our ancestors, talk about the organization that I love and am glad to be a part of. We're glad to do this show for you and hope you enjoy it. And Jason, I'm going to kind of step out of my role for a moment and turn it over to you and let you kind of lead into our next segment.
Well, John, I want to thank you for that. And if I would, I'd like to take a moment and look back at that last video that you played in the very last line in there, where he talks about your grandfather, your great-grandfather, because that's what we're talking about. Good folks, good Southerners, we all know this is all personal to us.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about our families. We're talking about our family history. We're talking about the ground that we came from. I have known John now for several years. We've worked together many times. We'll start with just tell us, John, if you will, how you got involved in the SCV to begin with, because, you know, how did you find out about it? This is a multi-part question. How did you find out about it? And what made you, pushed you to get involved to the point that you're involved now? Because for a lot of us, it's a catalyst moment. Something happened. There was a threshold moment, and all of a sudden, this isn't something we do of a hobby. It kind of takes over our life in some form. And tell us how you got involved in the SCV and how you got up to where you are right now.
Yeah, absolutely, Jason. Thank you for that question. And it kind of really hits right on where I kind of wanted to go with this tonight. Getting involved, and you said it very well in there. What was the moment that really got you involved? I first learned about the Sons of Confederate Veterans probably, it's close to 25, 26 years ago with our county historian, the late Fred Culp in Gibson County. He was a member of the SCV, had been for since probably early 80s. And I knew it existed, and he talked about it. I just had a really love of history, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. I'll tell you some more stories there. But he talked about the SCV, the local Trenton camp, the Hill Freeman Camp, 1472, was very active at the time. They had a lot of things going on, and I learned, and he'd have Confederate veteran magazines out. So I remember seeing the SCV logo. That's something that stood out. I knew, I saw the battle flag. I knew what that was, knew they existed. Life comes in, you get married, you have children, things like that happen. So you lose some of that just first boost you had. Still never walked away from not being involved in history, but didn't really join organizations at that time. Well, a few years later, I'd gotten involved really in local history and spending a lot of time in the local community here as city historian. The SCV name came back up through social media. Social media and Facebook especially began to take off. The late Bill Foster, here from Rutherford, who was brigade commander. You remember Bill. He was a character. Sure do miss him. Man, what a great guy. And I got to meet him. They were having it at the Gibson County Fair that had a SCV booth. I think we're still carrying that on. I've been doing it, I think, 11 years now, and it happened at least 20 years before that, if not longer. And he said, why don't you come on out? I know you love history. I'm following your social media post. Hey, come on over here. You can learn more. And he said, I'm going to give you a couple of things when you get there that you're going to want. Now, Bill didn't take no for an answer. I think he asked me about 10 times before that Saturday I was coming to the fair to make sure I come and see him. And he was there in uniform and all. Now, at this time, Bill was 70-ish or so, maybe a little bit younger. And he had his full uniform on that I have part of it today. Barry Sowell has part of it as well. And it was hot. I think it was 95 degrees at our fair, and he was burning up, but he was there waiting on me, and he had all kinds of stuff. Pastor John Weaver was one of those CDs. I know you've heard those.
Oh, yes.
He had a couple of those, and he wanted to give that to me to learn about. Now, he didn't know that I'd already researched the SCV by this point and learned what the organization did. Well, he said, take this stuff. Here's an application. Now, he said, somebody can help you with your ancestry, but he said, I'm sure you've probably already got that done. Yeah, of course, I told him, I said, Bill, I sure do. I know who my Confederate ancestors are, or several of them at the time. I've learned about more. And my great-great-grandfather in Union City, which was the camp I would join under, Camp 176, he's buried in Union City. This gentleman that you see in this daguerreotype that I've shown before, that I carry around of him, and that's who I joined the organization under. So he stayed with me, made sure I got joined. Quickly joined the camp in Union City. They were very active at the time, got to meet great folks, John Abernathy, the late Danny Isbell, and many others that got me involved. Of course, I was 45 minutes away, but I tried to be at every camp meeting I could. And I did officer position in that camp because Bill said, I've got a task for you. Now, Bill would put you to work. The old John Ingram camp that was in Jackson and Madison County, Camp 219, had gone defunct. And at one point, it was a real active camp in the division with well over 100 members and maybe even closer to 130 at one point. Very active. Well, it had faded away. A lot of folks had aged out. You know how that goes. So we got that active again. We met at the old country store there in Jackson, got several members that come in, and some of those were ones that were at their time was in their upper 70s. They rejoined, got active again. Now, a lot of those guys have passed on. So got that back and got it active as camp commander. And then we made a change. We moved it to Humboldt, which is my hometown, about 15 minutes north. The old R.M. Russell Camp 209 had gone defunct back in probably the mid-90s. And I really wanted to have it here at home. This is where I knew the history well. These are the people I knew. The connections were here. I really felt comfortable because I love, if you know me, Jason, I love local history and finding that local connection. Well, I knew about the Confederate veterans that are buried here in Rose Hill and had been studying those. So we brought that camp back here, got that active. Well, also during that time, Bill was getting a little older. Health wasn't as great. He said, I want you to step up and be the brigade commander for the Jeffrey Forrest Brigade. Now, note, this is around 2014, mid-2014. I was still pretty new. Only been in the organization maybe about 3 years and took on that position. Past Commander Mike Beck appointed me as Bill had to step away from the role and then got elected and served 3 terms. I believe it was 2 terms, I think. And it's probably longer than that. It's probably 3 terms. Mm-hmm. And then from that point, we kind of move into some of the other roles as we go up the ladder, so to speak, and serving in the different positions and learning. But had good folks to learn under in that time that really got my interest because they cared about their ancestors. And if you knew the late Bill Foster, he cared about it and he wanted it done right. He loved this organization and he wanted to find people that would lead in the organization that were honest, that had integrity, that cared about it. I'm not special in any way. I just want to be me. I was taught, being raised, service above self. Growing up, you help others, you do the right thing, you be honest. We're not perfect. We all make mistakes, don't have all the answers, but we want to do the right thing. So that's kind of how I got started in our organization.
Wow. And you talking about Bill Foster brought back so many fond memories of him. And I can remember he was so proud of you. He would brag about you. And, and at that time, I was doing the Forest Escort and I was doing a few other things. And I was communications director. And he would always contact me because we printed those booklets of the Humboldt Flag Park.
Yeah.
He wanted recruitment material for up there. And he always made sure I brought him some. And he always said, now, John's going to start doing this. You make sure he's got some.
Now, Bill, he was consistent and persistent. If you think about both of those terms a minute, he covered them both to get those things done. And he was dedicated to Trimble Flag Park there. He was instrumental in talking with the Parks family and making that happen. A lot of credit needs to really be given to Bill. There are a lot of folks that help and still help make it work, but he was instrumental in that mega flag site and really cared about our organization. And that's one of those things as being division commander now. What an honor, Jason. You've served in different roles in the organization. It's not about the titles. Is that neat? Yeah, it's very neat, because I posted on our division Facebook page recently about the other division commander that's from Humboldt, Ladd Collinsworth, who served in the early 1900s. So we've had two from Humboldt now. To me, I like that kind of connection. That's very neat to say, man, you get to follow in those steps. And sometimes we forget that our organization is telling the history of the soldier, but it's also a historic organization in itself, of course, to 1896 officially. And even before, when you get the old associations of Confederate soldiers in Tennessee that goes back into the 1880s, Madison County and Jackson had one in the early 1880s, and there were many others. So to follow in the footsteps of these guys, man, it's an honor, and to learn from so many great folks. And something we'll talk more about in a little bit. I hope I've done a good job leading our organization. We all have different ways we do things. We all have specialties we work. Some are great speakers. Some work in cemeteries. Some like doing paperwork. Thank goodness for the ones like our adjutants that, little applause, love doing the paperwork, because it's a full-time job. And it was something, I think it was Joey that told me this, Joey Nolan, past division commander. He said, are you ready to be done yet? How you liking it? So it's a lot of work, but it's worth it. Do you lose some sleep over it? Yeah, you do. Do you have challenges from some members that are difficult? Yeah, you do. You have some really good members. You have some that are really good. We all have different levels where we're at. But again, we got to remember what this is about. And the reason we serve, we only exist because of the Confederate soldier in his service and his sacrifice. And we are leading this organization. It's got to be a business. It's got to operate properly. We've got to be able to communicate. And we'll talk some more about communications here in just a little bit. But what an honor to be in this role. And hopefully in April, get a chance to serve a couple of more years.
Okay. So is that your announcement, or would you like to do an official announcement?
Well, Jason, that is kind of the official announcement. I'm not always the one that has to be super proper and prim and sweet. Okay. I've got an official one that we've put out and formal writing that tells everything you would want to know about me. And if people have questions tonight too in the comments, I can take some of those. And if you have others, but again, as seeking the position of the 10th Division Commander, again, as the 2026 reunion, it's been an honor to serve these past 2 years. We never thought when I got in this organization, Jason, that would be in this role here. I wish Bill Foster could be here. If you have somebody you know that was proud of you and you knew he was, I wish he could be here for that moment. That's special. And we enjoy the pomp and circumstance with that. But it's more than that. It is a job. It is a position that matters. It's of importance, and we have to do it right. We have to lead. And I hope I can continue to lead this division with honesty and integrity and decency, to know that I believe we're a Christian organization. Some may disagree with that, but that's where I stand, and I make no secret of it, that that's important in my life, and it should be important in all of our lives. And that's one thing that I'll continue to stress and push in our organization, that we're decent people, that we do the right thing. And sometimes we have to make hard decisions, Jason, and we've had to make some. You've had to make them. I've had to make them. And we have to look at this that way. It is a business, and we have to operate it like that. Jason, we'll probably go, if you want to, I can go into some accomplishments tonight. And again, this is not I said in my official letter, I don't want to brag on me, because it's not me. It's without all of us, none of this could be done. I can't do it alone. In this role, some say, well, you have power over the division. Well, maybe in some role, but without the members, there is no division. Right. Without the membership paying their dues and supporting what we do. People say, what are all your visions and your ideas? We all have the basic ones: communication, honoring our soldiers, putting down monuments, cleaning tombstones, publishing materials, fighting in court if we have to. That's part of it. But again, we all have specialties we work in, and each member is important in their role that they bring back. My command staff under me, we have some, Jason, as you know, that are appointed, like the division adjutant is appointed. An honor to have you serve in that role. You make my life easy, make my job easy, because you take care of that. And others that are appointed. David Daniels, as I'm just mentioning a couple that are off the top of my head because he's in the chat tonight. Again, appreciate him being the division genealogist. We have Edward Phillips, who served as our judge advocate general, helping us there in the legal side when needed. James Patterson, chief of staff, serving in that role. I couldn't do this without these men and so many others tonight. And we could never name everybody that may not have an official title, but I know I can call on if I need something in East Tennessee. Hey, what's happening here? Let's get this done. These people there are to help. We can't do it alone. But again, we've got a great organization, and we want to continue that into the future. We've had this conversation, me and you personally, and others have. Where do we see our organization 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years from now? Will it exist if we don't do our part in recruiting and keeping members and finding what that perfect solution is? You say, well, there's not one. Well, there's got to be one. If we don't find it and determine how we keep people and gain new people and keep them as members, we will cease to exist. We have to be good stewards of our money and the finances. Our division membership has put us in charge of that to make sure we make good decisions. And I feel like in the division, we've made very good decisions. We're very conservative on spending dollars. The Forest Hall project that past division commander Joey Nolan and James Patterson really worked to get that started there. And now we're seeing it come to fruition now. That work will begin here hopefully in the next month. They'll start putting that up. Contracts are signed. A lot of money being invested. Some may say, John, sometimes you may want to delay a quick decision. I'm not a quick decision maker. I believe, Jason, we should put time and thought and prayer into it and really consider, is this a good decision? Because sometimes we just go off of passion, and at the moment, we're going to fight. We're going to do this. But is that the best decision? Is that the best route to victory? And something I say in my thing, we'll see defeats, and we have seen defeats. But sometimes it's good to have a defeat because it brings us back to earth and grounds us to know that we're not perfect and we're not going to make every decision right, that we can look for those, we can learn from those, and then we're victorious in the next thing. I think of such as accomplishments there at Franklin and in Williamson County, preserving that seal, folks like James Turner and many others in our division that have helped work there to make sure that remained. There was a point, Jason, we thought that was gone and it wasn't going to be there. And then we get a unanimous vote to leave it alone and not pursue the lawsuit anymore. We stood with it. We spent dollars, but we used wise decision-making. We thought about it. We looked at it. We looked at it again. We looked at it again. And that's how we'll succeed in the SCV is we don't make spur of the moment decisions. We make good, wise decisions. And again, before we go into projects, we need to have everything in order. We've seen what happens when we go into projects and everybody's got an idea and we're not really prepared. We have a national museum now that's very successful and is wonderful. But you see the change of power and how different people have their different views. Could we done things better there? I'm sure we could have.
Oh, yes.
Is there things better we can do in the division? I'm sure we could have. We look back at bringing the Forest equestrian statue and General and Mrs. Forest Elm Springs. Could that have happened different in the lawsuit in Memphis, the amount of money we spent? Maybe so, but that's in the past. We can't fix it, but we can learn when we go forward with these things. I just recently said the other day, Jason, these things will come. It's not if they come, if these battles are going to come, if these issues. It is when, and a lot of them are already here, but there's more to come, and we know we're going to face these things. I live in a community now that one of the first things I think about every day is defending the graves and protecting those of our ancestors here locally, our monument we have in this community, because there are people that will do whatever they could do to get it removed. Look at Virginia now. Look at what's happening there. But I do know, though you may be losing some battles there, and we have in others, there's many victories that we have had. And one of those things we were talking before we went on the program tonight, Jason, is sharing of those victories and those accomplishments you've brought out with SCV Success, and others have worked on bringing that forward and showing what our organization does and using that to promote and gain members. When the public sees, hey, the SCV is doing something, they want to be a part of it. People want to be a part of something that's successful and operates and works well. I think about our local two camps, Trenton and Humboldt, when we host the Gibson County Fair booth every year. Have I gained a lot of members from that? Just a handful. But being able to be in a place where thousands of people are going by, and when they ask you at the end of every year, you're coming back, right? Mm-hmm. And when you win first place of a booth, about 100 booths, and you win first place of all those multiple times, we have to be there. Mm-hmm. people see it. And the conversations, we say people hate us. People hate the Confederate flag. They hate our ancestors. Yeah, there are those ones that are loud and talk loud. We got a guy here locally that he's loud on everything politically right now in the Madison County community. He likes to be loud and heard, and people hear him. Are they paying attention to him? I don't know, but sometimes we need to be loud and be heard. We need to be out in front, like with these booths and recruitment booths. Rich Garcia and Sean Hill have worked really hard, and others, to get out there with the recruitment booths, to be seen at these Civil War shows. And people don't know we exist. They say best kept secret, Jason. I guess we are that sometimes. And sometimes we want there's no church saying my four and no more. Sometimes we have our camps that are like that. To each their own, what works best for them. But we've got to grow. We've got to find people to get in leadership positions. I think when I'm gone, when the others under me coming after me are gone, we see a repetitiveness of the same faces. We need new folks willing to step up because there are roles. And sometimes I've been there and you think, well, do they really want me? Really, most people I've met in this organization want somebody to follow them, want somebody to step up and lead.
Yes.
And there are positions. That's a challenge we have in the division now. We have a few brigade commanders that are appointed. And thank goodness those men have stepped up to do that role. But sometimes you want to have 3 or 4 people running because they want to serve. They want to do something. And that's in our organization and others. And we got to improve upon that. Find people to lead. And here's something else, Jason. Each person leads in a different way. Like tonight, I put on for this, I've got on the tie and the suit. But some people don't do that, and that's okay. I go to camp meetings where the men are in blue jeans and regular shirts. That's fine. If you know me, I wear these suspenders all the time. They have a purpose. That's my look. That is it set up to be that way? No, it's utilitarian, but it's what they know you as. If some guy that's going to wear a vest and blue jeans and rides a bike and he puts on a suit, he looks out of place and he's not comfortable. Let him serve in what he's comfortable in. As long as it's respectful and doesn't dishonor our organization or the Confederate soldier, so be it. Like you've got a logoed shirt on tonight. Mm-hmm. Some don't wear logo shirts. Some wear a hat. I mean, to each their own. But again, we have a place to serve. And I hope to continue to serve in this role and continue to lead and be able to, in a couple of years, hand it off to the next guy that comes after me to continue the great work we're doing and following the lead of many others.
Well, John, and I like everything that you said. I'd like to go back to something that you talked about at the very beginning. And I realize that we're going to run late on time. It's already 7:48, and we want to make sure we have everybody off. But I'm going to There was something that you mentioned at the when you first started talking. You mentioned 2 camps. I believe you said one of them was Camp 1472.
That's the Hill Freeman camp in Trenton.
Okay. Where's it now?
It's still in existence. They don't meet actively, and when they do meet, they have met with us. We met together a few times, but they're still active on the books. Talk to those guys regular, good guys, but something we all have talked about amongst ourselves. Everybody's getting older, and these guys are all older than me. So that's where we've got to get these people. They were very, very active at one time, not so much now.
And that's what I was after, because I know that y'all are working together. 219 become 209, but camps need to work together. Yeah. And you talked about a perfect solution, and there being a perfect solution. We're going to have to find this. Okay. As you know, recruitment and retention, you've talked about camps going down, being over 100 members and going down, and recruitment and retention. I've heard some people say there is no magic bullet because the target keeps moving. Because you think about what it was like when I first joined the SCV, there was no such thing as a laptop, a cell phone. You need to get in touch with somebody. You either went to their house or you called the house phone. There was no cell phone and these instant communications. Now these instant communications are there. I say all of that to say this. How can we take advantage of that?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. We've got to, some are, I say technically challenged because I hear that term all the time working in the library world. We've got to embrace this more. And again, I'm a guy that likes to meet in person. I'm 43. I still like that. I like to meet and talk with people in person, but some don't. And I know some camps have kind of done that, bringing in some Zoom stuff. I know that's not as personal as some would like it, but if it can keep a camp surviving, it can keep them meeting and talking to each other, creating these private Facebook groups so the camp members can talk among themselves and know what's going on with each other. I think being a little more personable sometimes, we've got to work on that. And some camps do a really good job at that. Jim knows what Bob is doing. They know that Bob's wife is sick. They keep up with each other and know that, and it becomes more of a family. And those real successful camps we've seen have that going on. But I also know something, Jason. There are people that, I don't know a better term, they're scared. And I'm not talking about they don't honor their ancestors. They don't honor what we do, but they are nervous about it.
Yes.
The 1980s of some of these guys I know here locally that haven't rejoined just because, hey, the 80s, we could have there's a picture I found the other day of a huge jacked up truck with a Confederate flag in the back of it in the Strawberry Festival. We know that probably wouldn't happen today. Those guys remember that era and they're a little scared of it now. So we have to find a way to get those people back in and get them involved to know there's nothing to be scared of. That people say, do you get fearful? I have the RSCV tag on my truck here in town. I've had a comment or two, but nothing that I felt my life was at risk. But in some areas, maybe it is. But then I find out, Jason, some just don't care. So get your camp going, do things together. And it doesn't have to be like our local camp here. Our camp meetings, Jason, are meeting at cemeteries and doing work there.
Yes.
And that's just what it is. Different places work, do different things, just long as you're communicating and finding a way to honor your ancestors.
And you're correct. And all camps function different. And, recruitment and retention, they are what they are. But you heard what John just said and all these things that you can be doing. So although there might not be a so-called magic bullet, you can load up a magazine that has all of these different kind of bullets in it and then go out and grow your camps, because that's what this is about. Oh, well, it's not really just about growing your camp. It's developing the brotherhood. And these camps that I have associated with that have been so successful and continue to be so successful, they are talking, their camp members are talking all the time.
Yeah.
And you say, well, now there was one camp, I got in their text group when I went and visited with them. I showed at the meeting, they were all in their 70s and 80s, and they were having a group text going. And so don't say, well, our older members can't do it. No, they were doing it.
They can. Mm-hmm.
Yes, they can, and I've seen it at the national reunion.
Yeah.
Something would happen and you'd see all the men out there on their phones. So, and I know that, John, do you want to try to get off here in the next couple of minutes?
If people want to stay on, I'm fine. I'll go back and watch that later myself. And I know a lot of folks will watch that speech tonight, but I feel like right now, I feel like we're going okay. And if folks want to stay on, we'll keep going. And if folks say they want me to be quiet and us to be quiet, we can wrap up early. But something I see in the comments here, David Daniels said, and he mentions their monument there in Cookeville. But I do want to comment something kind of along that line about two councilmen that wanted it done. That's something being involved in the local community, the camp has got to do, and the members. You can't just be seen as the guy that shows up when somebody wants to take it down. They never seen you before, never heard of you. You've got to be involved. And I heard somebody recently speak on this. I've forgotten who it was, but about being really involved in that local community. Join your chamber. I know that's each to their own. Some don't like that kind of stuff, and that's okay. But there's probably somebody in your camp that does. I believe it was Chuck Roydhouse said this. Get involved and let them see you like he went to a ribbon cutting. And let folks know, you're talking about the SCV the whole time you're there? Probably not. But they identify you with it, and they'll say, well, who are you representing? Well, they know, they represent that organization. And that's important, that you're seeing beyond just when an issue arises.
And that's critical, because the Sam Watkins camp, we're involved in the local Chamber of Commerce. And we go to events. We help sponsor. We help sponsor Halloween and some trunk or treat stuff, and people know who we are. But they've also learned that we're not the four-headed demon that
Mm-hmm.
that we're pushed out there, that they also know they can call us and we'll help them do things. And it is getting involved in your community and just letting people know you. Think about it, just you dealing with your local auto repair shop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to want to go to your guy. Okay. All of us had our mechanic that we go to when we need something done. Well, what happens when that mechanic retires?
Yeah.
Sells his shop. Well, you have to go get another one. Well, it's the same thing with that. You develop a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody's in office, you have a relationship with them. And when the next person comes in office, you have a relationship with them. Mm-hmm. And that's just, and you don't say, okay, well, he's my guy, and all that. Okay, well, you got a new guy now.
Well, you said that, Jason, and that's very good. On a couple of notes here, I think about small businesses, and we really seen this across our country. And I'm a big supporter of small business. We're seeing when the dentist retires, we got a local dentist that says they've been open for almost 100 years, and he wants to make it to that, the family-owned dentistry. Yeah. Well, he may just be done at that point. His kids are not interested in that, and you don't see these people replaced in the local communities. Yes. Some things we're never going to change, but that's a challenge, and there's our organizations working on that to see that continue. And you mentioned when political figures, elected officials step out of roles and somebody new's come in, make that relationship with them. Humboldt's just gone through that. We've got pretty much a whole new city council and mayor, and you're going in there to work with these guys. I don't really know some of them I do. So you're developing that relationship. So, and I think when things come in our communities, a bad thing come up, somebody wants to remove a monument. Well, if you've got some kind of relationship, it may not be the best, but at least you're on some kind of name term. He knows me, I know him, or she knows me, and vice versa. At least when it comes up, you're not just some stranger. But when I say they know who you are, that doesn't mean you're always the one yelling at them. You do just say, hello, how are you doing? Hope things are well. If we develop some kind of relationship, I just feel like, and I've used that in experience, it makes situations when they arise a little easier, but also put a little pressure there that they know, hey, in Tennessee, if you're coming after our monument on public ground, hey, there's a law to protect that. And if you want to try to change that, you've got a proper procedure to follow.
Yes.
Did they know that?
Yes. Just make sure they know. Announcer prevention is worth a pound of cure. We've heard that old saying for all of these years, and it is still very true. But you have to let them know when something happens. Let's say that they're going to take down the monument on the square.
Yeah.
When you walk in the door, you don't want the first question to be, well, who is that?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want that to be the first question. When they look up, when you walk through the door and they look up, the ones who want it to stay, they're going to look at you and smile. The ones that want it to go, they know they've got opposition, and you're going to get that eye roll. Okay. And you want one or the other, not either one. Okay, good. The good guys are here. Oh no, they're here again. Or
and Jason, make sure that
who are they?
That person that's there, and you mentioned that when they see a camp, and we've talked about this before in previous shows, you need somebody in your camp that can speak at these situations. Yes. And make sure it's not I'm going to use the word passionate, because sometimes we all get a little aggravated. You need to make sure the guy that we're all passionate about it, but find the guy y'all talk amongst yourselves that needs to be the speaker to represent the group, that can keep us cool when you need to keep your cool.
Yes.
Find that right person there to speak. And that's just not with the SCV. That's with any organization, any cause you're working on. You want the person, they don't have to be the best speaker, but that they can handle it and be professional and try not to so much emotion. When the guy sitting on the council says, you know what, I don't care what you say, I want it gone. Well, you're not yelling back at him.
Yes.
We got to find that right person. We've seen that go terribly wrong. And we've also seen that go really, really well when you have the right person get up and speak and knows the facts. And don't be afraid to use somebody else in the division. If you've got something that comes up and where somebody needs to speak, we have people in the division that are very good at that, know the law very well, that can get up there and speak when that time comes. But remember, somebody local is who they're going to listen to. If I bring in John Doe from East Tennessee for a West Tennessee issue. He's not the local guy that's voting. He's not the local taxpayer. They want to hear from the local people in the community that it matters to. We'll go back to 2015 when the things were happening terrible, and we had a challenge here on our monument, and we used one of those online services where you get signatures. And the one we used was probably a little more liberal leaning, but it stayed on there, and it got 700 or 800 signatures compared to the opposition, 100, 150. So it showed people, and these were local names that it signed, people I didn't know. Hey, I want our monument to stay. It matters. It's history. It's important. They may not have understood what it's there and who it's representing and why it's there, but they know it's history and it's important. And it's a monument to honor soldiers and honor those that are deceased. It's a headstone. I think one of the worst things you can do, Jason, is disgrace somebody's final resting place. And that's part of what we do in this organization is we work to protect those final resting places. There's one now that Jim Collinsworth, we've talked about this on here now, a cemetery in Middle Tennessee that we're working to protect. And I know they've recently got to go see it, making good contacts with local folks to protect the Job Cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do. That's part of what we do.
Yes. Well, that goes all the way back to the charge. And like you said, we're celebrating an anniversary of the charge. 120 years come April of this year, 120 years. And that is all part of the charge. And you know, all of us, you mentioned it earlier, all of us have talents.
Yeah.
Use the talent that God gave you. And that's whatever talent you have, our divine creator gave you that talent, and use the talent. And, you know, it's all of us have it. Everybody does. He gave it to everybody. Find out what talent is and put it to use. And John, okay, I'm going to ask you one more question.
Sure. Let me mention one thing before you do, Jason. I know there's a couple of comments. I'm trying to watch some of the comments. I know Steve Reed's comment on charter, and we won't break all that all down on here, but that's something I've got to reach out to him and find out why it hasn't got to headquarters yet, because it hasn't showed it's been signed for and it's still in lingo. So, Steve, I know you made that comment, so I'm going to check on that again this week and see if we can get an answer and get that done. Good things coming there he's working on. Go ahead, Jason. I want to make sure I addressed his comment.
Yes. Well, and since you mentioned that, I'll bring up this from David Daniels. We need a rapport with the local politicians. They may not always agree, but they still respect your right to honor your ancestor, you know.
Yeah.
So make sure that they know, like I said, when you show up, you don't want them going, who is that? You want them to know you. And know you, but also know that you're going to be a gentleman.
Yeah.
You're going to be polite, but also you're going to be firm in your beliefs.
Absolutely. And we're not going to waver. Now, there's the old saying, we agree to disagree. And there's times we've had to do that. All of us have, but we still stand where we stand, but we can be respectful. And that's something I want to mention. You know, we mentioned political activity. We know as a 501c3, Jason, our organization can't itself as the organization be involved in that. We've debated that before, but we follow what the rules and the law are. We have to protect it. Very important. Another topic for another day, maybe. But each one of us individually, we're taxpayers and speaking to Tennesseans in this state. So it's important that you do go to your local elected officials and let them know where you stand when issues come up, state legislature. Let them know. But something I would ask you guys to, these are us as individuals, talk to yourselves as individuals outside of your camp and work together on things like that and make sure you coordinate well. That's important. We don't want 15 people going to one person all saying something different, and just keep that in mind. That's why something in the division, when we work on projects, we want to work together and keep people and all going forward in the same direction, that we're not all splitting off. And that's how things get messed up. But again, working with our local officials, it's very important.
Yes, it is. And, you know, and John is correct. Be coordinated. Think of it as, okay, all of us know about battles. Think of how the battles that failed when they were piecemeal, and think about the battles that succeeded when they were coordinated attacks. And that's what you have to do. You have to coordinate with it, because if you just piecemeal it, that's what's going to happen. It's going to come apart in pieces. So the question I'd like to ask you, John, is, okay, you're seeking re-election. Our Tennessee Division reunion is coming up April 17th and 18th in Morristown, Tennessee. What would you say would be your first goals that you would like to see happen? What's your priority list? Because now you've gotten 2 years behind you. You know what you've done.
Yeah.
You know what you need to do. So what would be your priority list?
It's kind of a priority here, Jason. It's the top one is we find folks for the different roles underneath the Tennessee Division Commander, the right staff is selected. And I want to make sure I've got a right command staff, because it takes everybody to make my job easier and to make it all work. So that's important. Communication, we've talked about this. I've seen some comments tonight about that. And me and you have talked about this. What do our members, and that's what I ask for those that are listening from especially Tennessee that we have any say-so in tonight. How do you want us to communicate with you? Some still want an old-fashioned newsletter. And if that's somehow that needs to happen for some, we can work to make these things work. Is it a 50-page document? I don't know. If it's smaller than that, but we're communicating something in their hands. I still believe in a little old-fashioned communication. If it's in your hand, you're probably not, you may still throw it away, but at least you had to look and see what it was. Emails get lost. We do need to work on a little better communication system. We have constant contact to get out, but as Josh Cameron has said, people delete those. They're not looking at them. There's some other options outside of the Facebook groups, the private groups where we communicate. We need to work on that some more and communicating more with our members. And I mean, just that they know we exist and what we do. It's always sad when you hear somebody say, I know there's a division. I pay $5 to it. What's it for? What do y'all do? That means we need to do more things as a division, support projects. And one of those recently, which is something I want to take into this next term, if you choose to reelect me, is support our camps and our brigades and projects. For example, you've seen the victory that I shared there. It is a victory because we keep it going. And I want to share that photograph here, Jason, of our project support there for the Trimble mega flag site there. To keep that flag illuminated in the evening and also help with those flags. The division has funds to help with projects, and we need camps knowing that's available. Now, we don't have unlimited funds, obviously, but our council can work to partner with our different camps and brigades to make things happen. I believe that we need to set a monument or two in the next term. We've talked about that. We really haven't got that done. I want to take the lead on that and make that happen. A monument in stone is getting the right place where it's safe, tells the story and will for generations to come. So that's an important role. So our biggest challenge, again, is communicating with our members so they're involved. They know what we do. They know who we are. But also something that we need to address. Some can travel more than others. And I think we should mention that because there's a lot of talk I see about that. This one guy travels everywhere. He's everywhere. But keep in mind, each person in your command staff, from your brigade commanders to your division, lieutenant, second lieutenant, have different roles and responsibilities. And I believe chain of command is important. That's something we need to work on. We're a military-based organization. I didn't serve in the military, but so honored to know many that did. And I salute them and applaud them for their sacrifice. Sometimes we don't follow that very well, being a military-based organization, command structure. If we follow the command structure, things seem to get done better. I want you to come to me as your division commander anytime you need something, but know that a camp should go to their brigade commander first, and then he brings it up to the lieutenant commanders and so forth, so that Bill doesn't come to John and John's working directly with Bill and the rest of the command staff knows nothing about it. So when it comes up at a council meeting, everybody's lost on the whole project. I believe in that command structure. That's something we have to look at. We will continue to look at our members, making sure we're bringing in quality members. I want to stress that to our camps, that we are doing some background checks, so to speak, whatever that entails, how deep you go, that you know who you're bringing in. Our organization and its name, what's the old saying, Jason? Your good name is really all you have.
Yes.
And if we have folks that are not bringing a good name to us, we have to deal with that. And that's not something I like dealing with. I don't like to have to do that. We don't want to hurt people because more people are passionate than others, but we have to be doing things respectful and in order. We have to protect this organization for years to come that it exists. If we let discord get in, we have to address these things and take care of them and do it in proper order. So chain of command is very important. We do need to do more, Jason, with telling our story and telling our history. We have individuals that publish books and articles, but as a division, we don't really do any of that. We've done some things with the Forrest, the comic books. Forrest was on one of them, and I believe there was, I don't have them in front of me, but yeah, we did those, and that's pamphlets and things that are being put out there in places. We need some more of that type stuff. We need to look at developing. We've got some authors in the division that could really help lead and guide in the right way, that we have materials looking professional. We've worked at that, and we've got some good folks that are helping, but to put out professional looking advertisements, that it's not something that was just done in a back room, handwritten and posted on the wall, that we try to make it as best as we can make it, because we want folks to think we're real and we're a professional organization. I'll shout out to Rich Garcia. He's done a great job at our recruitment, making sure it looks official. Want to keep building on that we have more proper stuff when we go to an event to hand out, that it's not just some little slip of paper, something a little better. We have funds to do that. Something you can put somebody's hand in an event, they have to take it home. They have to look at it. Maybe it's something that reminds them. It did for me when I was recruited through having a pen and a CD. I had to take it with me, so I had to do something with it. So we need to continue to work on that. That's just a few things. Again, we have good people, and I want to continue doing what we're doing going forward. And continuing doing what we're doing doesn't mean we stay the same, but we keep pressing forward, whether it's small step, large steps, and we look ahead. It's not about me, but it's about the next guy coming after me, that when it's my turn to hand it over to somebody, that the next guy is going to take the organization and continue to lead it. Just the way someone has handed that to me when Joey's term was up, he handed that to me. I want to be able to add to, make it a little better than I found it.
Okay. So we've all heard the saying, it seems like tonight might be a night for sayings. We've all heard the saying that motion is the potion. Okay. Mm-hmm. Especially with health and getting your steps in and all of that, how they talk about it now. But don't go side to side, go forward. You know, and that's the thing. And what you've said here, you know, you pass information along. Larry McClooney and I worked a lot together. Yeah. He passed it to me. I include Donnie in on everything. So you have to pass information along to the person behind you. When you take a position, you start looking for your replacement, and you start training your replacement. If you don't, then you see the ones that's coming up behind you, pick you somebody, and, you know, and work with them, you know, like you with, you know, you've got two great guys underneath you, and Rich and Sean. And, absolutely. You know, you pass the information down to them because they're the future, you know, and I know it's hard to say with those guys being as old as they are, because they're not 20, but they are the future, because they are going to be taking it into the next thing. And the right staff and training the right staff, that's what you started with.
Absolutely. And somebody did that for me. They gave me a chance and gave me an opportunity. We want to give people opportunities to serve, that it's not about one of us individually, that we just hold it all so tight, nobody else can get involved. We want people to get involved. And Jason, I want to share J.R. Price's comment. He misses the print edition of the Forrest Escort. And that's something me and you have talked about, and looking at funding. It's expensive. Y'all know what the cost of a stamp is, and something this large, or mailing that out. Yeah, you can get a bulk rate. I've been looking at that the last couple of weeks. It's still expensive for a couple of thousand of these to go out. So we need to look at that. Nobody likes to talk about dues increases, and I'm not saying that's what we do, but maybe if we want printed editions, that there's a way to get that funds for that. I'm fine with printing things and mailing them out, but we just got to have the extra funding to do that. Maybe it's dedicated just for that. I've had somebody recently, Jason, ask, can we split it up for just the ones that want it? Well, that's a challenge. How do you know of a couple of thousand people? How do you really find out who wants it, who doesn't? So that's something we really need to put some effort and time to, as we said, to get something in somebody's hands that they see. Because some still want, I collect paper, probably too much paper products around. I like digital stuff too. I do that as well, but I still like paper products, and people like that. Yeah, you can print those, and I print them as well, but some want one sent to them that way. And we can look at that. We just have to develop a plan that will make it affordable, that we can do it. Again, we can't spend all of the funding we have. You do the math, $5 per member times however many members, just from that funding alone won't pay for it. But we have other funds, but we need to look at that and see what that's important to our membership. If they're wanting that, we can work towards that. But we also have to remain digital too. We still have to have that stuff available there. It's important because newer people are coming in, and a lot want it that way. So we got to make it available, probably some in both.
And I completely understand that. I know members, that's what they want. They want a paper copy. Mm-hmm. Just to give everybody a history behind this, when I was printing Forest Escort and we were doing 4 a year, it was costing just shy of $10,000 to print and mail 4 of those.
Yeah.
You're looking at between $2,200 and $2,400 per issue. So you were looking close to $10,000. And I know that was when we were printing all 4, and now we were printing 1.
Down to 1. Mm-hmm.
We're down to 1. And that was to be better stewards of the money, to be more fiscally conservative on this. But, what do the members want? We have roughly 1,913 members. Yes, and David Daniels did the Forest Escort.
That's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think I did it for 9 years. I don't know how long David did it, but David did the Forest Escort before I did. So what's the membership want? Okay, and yes, it was. I can remember. Ed Butler was Tennessee Division Commander when we used to get those in the newspaper form. So I can remember that. But we, what does the membership want? Membership has to tell us how they want us to spend their finances, because they're the ones that's going to end up paying for this. So,
there's ideas, and we don't have to talk about them all on a public forum like this. And again, we can discuss these at the DEC meetings, which are open to our Tennessee Division members to come in and listen in on. And if you have ideas, send me and Jason messages on it. If you think you got a solution to how we put these out that way and get them out. Again, a challenge right now. I've just put out a short edition of our newsletter that has candidate announcements on it, those that submitted by a certain date. But I want to be clear, I had a question. You can still run for an office. This is not saying your time is up. You can still do that all the way to the division floor at the reunion. This was just for the publication if anybody wanted to announce ahead of time. So we know there'll be others seeking offices, but that is out there. We got to look at these. Again, there's some other options that we've talked about, and I've had some ideas of how we can get these out. Maybe, and not saying pass it along to the camps, but somehow we see if they've got 15 members that in their camp want it, all our members in our camp want it. Well, all right, maybe we come up with a determining fee that camps charge a little extra if they want that, the printed version. So there's ways to look at that, because some people, if you want it, if I want it, I'll pay a little extra to make sure I can get it, because I want to use sense to know that it's expensive, and we've got to look at that.
And that's the reason why that I told the price of it, because a lot of people don't realize exactly how much it costs. Because we were, when you send out, if we have 1,900 members, you send out 1,900 of them, it's going to be expensive. And, but if you want a nice newsletter and you want it in your hands so you can read it, that's the price that it takes to do that. So, but that's the reason why that I mentioned the price, so people will know that, okay, that's quite a bit of money. But, John, I want to thank you. Is there anything else that you would like to add? Because we've been going an hour and 19 minutes now.
Yeah, and I'll kind of wrap it up there, Jason. Then we'll take one more quick break. We need a couple of Tennessee Division things, activities we want to mention coming up after this break. But again, Jason, thank you for giving me the opportunity on this show. Of course, you with some questions there for our division reunion, which will be an election season this year. And I would be honored if you would offer your support if you're listening tonight and watching, and those that'll watch this later, as your Tennessee Division commander for another 2-year term. I'd be honored to serve in that role and continue to help operate and forward our organization into the future. As that slogan says, it's because it's our history to tell. We must do it. It's going to take us working together. Thank you for all of your support from all of our members. Yes. We may not always agree perfect on how everything needs to be done, but we do agree on one thing. It's about our Confederate ancestors, and we will get it done. It may take some discussion, but together we can make our organization grow and make it stronger. That's the goal for me and this organization, is keep it alive for another 140 years or however long the Lord sees fit for it to go.
Yes. Well, John, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank you for everything. And I want to thank you for the work that you put into this. Working with you, I know everything that I don't know everything you do. But I know from working with you that you take a lot of phone calls at night. Yep. You answer text messages, emails, everything. So it's I know that we're going through the whole budget process and all of that right now. And we'll be meeting about that soon. But if you want to, we'll go to commercial, then we'll come back and we'll talk about some of the events that we're going to have coming up in the Tennessee Division. And John, thank you for coming on and being willing to talk about this and for the work that you're willing to do, because working with you, I know this much. It is not about you. It is about them. And
well, Jason, thank you for those kind words. Honor to work with you. We got a great organization. We can do it together. I want to continue to do that, and appreciate everybody's support that you've shown me, and hope to continue to serve in this role a couple more years and do what we can to make our organization even better. So let's go ahead and take this break. We'll come back, talk some Tennessee Division events coming up, and we'll be right back on Tennessee Tuesday.
Our Southern heritage is under attack. Whose heritage, some may ask? Well, the heritage of those that love God, their families, and their homes. We must stand together and fight back against those who wish to destroy it. The sons of Confederate veterans regard these attacks as frivolous and are committed to preserve and protect our history. We can't do it alone. We need your help. To learn more about membership, visit TennesseeSCV.org. If not us, who? If not now, when?
And welcome back into Tennessee Tuesday. It's February the 24th. We're glad you're here. This is Season 2, Episode 8, if you're keeping up with the numbers. Jason, I've come to love this. And now, you know, if me and you could just make a living, well, you're retired, so you've already made your living. If we could do this full time and just do this all the time and make a living at that, I think I'd be up for that. How about you?
Yes, I would. This, like you said, this is something that you look forward to. I do. Absolutely. Anyway. Because this is an opportunity to talk about a passion. And this is passion to all of us. A lot of us have to have a job to do, okay? And I'm talking about the job that puts a roof over your head, clothes on your back, food on your table. And it's what we have to do so we can go do what we want to do. And for me, this is this. So, you know, those 37 years at Farm Bureau lead to this. So, well, we do have some. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and jump into a couple of things here, Jason. As we get into our events, I want to share this graphic one more time for you in full screen. From the battlefields to the courthouse squares, Tennessee Tuesday. We've kind of changed that up, our little live weekly podcast there, because it's our history to tell. So a new little slogan here for us on this program, and hopefully will inspire others that tell our history. And one of those ways you can do that is by going to speaking engagements. And yours truly there, I'm pointing at him, Jason Boshears, or his truly, I guess I should say, not yours. Yours would be me. It'd be his truly for me to say. He's going to be speaking at this General Patrick Claiborne birthday celebration for the Macklemore Brigade coming up in March.
Yes. And I'm looking forward to that. So that's going to be, and I want to thank the Hatton Camp, 723, we all know that camp's way out front on everything leading. You got Tom Wood, Chuck Roydhouse, Martin Frost. All three are legends. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be there.
Absolutely. Also, I know Jason's busy here lately. He's been speaking everywhere, and he's going to be in my neck of the woods here in West Tennessee coming up this Saturday night. You will be for Camp 176, the Otho French Straw Camp in Union City. You'll be there for the Jeffrey Forrest Brigade Lee Jackson Banquet. Had to be rescheduled due to weather, and you're going to be speaking a Saturday night.
That is correct. Yes. Come on out and support that. I don't know if they have a new banner on that or not. I
don't have an updated one. I know you can reach out to Barry Sowell here on social media,
yes,
and or reach out to me or you, and we can get you the contact information. It's kind of like a potluck. They're going to provide the meat, and they want you to bring some things. But if you want to come, I know Barry's probably, that deadline is probably passed on the food, but I'm sure if you wanted to squeeze in and just listen, Barry would try to make a space for you to get in there. Jason, what are you talking about? Can you reveal what your topic is? You haven't picked out yet?
Well, it's when he first asked me, he was asking me to speak on the last little bit of Stonewall Jackson and Robert E. Lee.
Okay.
That would be the from Chancellorsville, what happened to Jackson at Chancellorsville. And then the thing with Robert E. Lee that strikes me the most with him is when right after Appomattox.
Yeah.
You know, what happened just those couple of days after Appomattox. And I'll talk about those. Unless Barry comes up and sends me a message, sees this, sends me a message and says, hey, would you talk about this? But I think he's wanting me to talk on.
That'd be good. It'd be a good conversation.
Yeah.
You coming down Saturday. Is Linda coming with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I have to have a caretaker. You know, somebody's got to go with me, you know. So.
Who does the driving? Do you drive or she drive?
I do the driving, yes. She's a great co-pilot.
We'll leave that alone. We won't get into the weeds there too much of that.
No, actually, she is. She manages because we always run with 2 GPSs.
Yeah.
You know, and so she does a very good job of managing those. Plus, when you're going along the road, hey, y'all know I like to eat, and she's great at finding restaurants when you're going down.
There you go. Well,
Yes.
That's coming up Saturday night. Again, reach out to Brigade Commander of the Jeffrey Forrest Brigade, Barry Sowell, and he'll be happy to get you that information about the event coming up. Another event, these were kind of a little out of order there, Jason, is our Flag Retirement and Flag Day event that will take place at the Nathan Bedford Forrest Boyhood Home in Chapel Hill. That's coming up on Saturday, March the 7th. Note the times, 11 o'clock. The site will open there. We'll have some lunch available. Also, the home will be open for tours. If you've never seen the Forrest home, you need to come see that. A lot of work there goes on continuous to make that a nice site. Again, come out and see the work there that Gene Andrews and others always working on that at the Boyhood Home. Again, so this day, here's kind of what's going to happen, Jason, when you get there. And then at 12:30, we'll have the official ceremony. Lieutenant Commander Rich Garcia has worked on this. Sean Hill has worked on this, myself and others, to make this a successful day. We will have the food and, of course, the wonderful fellowship, always a great event. We'll have several speakers that will bring greetings. There will be a time of prayer and then the flag retirement ceremony. So remember, any flag, whether it's Confederate flags or old U.S. flags that need retired, any flag you may have, you can bring that there. It'll be properly retired by being placed into a fire pit there, and it'll be done with honor. There is an honor guard, an artillery salute planned as well. There'll be period reenactors. Again, it's going to be a good day coming up on March the 7th. Going to be there, and looking forward to this day every year. Always an honor there in a proper way to bring those flags and retire them. If you've been collecting them for the past year, it's time to bring those and get those done. So make your plans to be there again. Saturday, March the 7th. This is a Tennessee Division event, and we would love for you to come and be a part of that. So, Jason, I want to share you this one here. This is something we're working on, and this, what you're seeing here may very well be we're going to do some billboards in Tennessee.
Yes.
we've talked about that last show, that's opportunity has been made by our current Lieutenant Commander in Chief, Tony Griffin. He's made some funds available from his budget towards this. The division will come in on this. We looked at it last year and really didn't have enough time to get it done properly and get good locations. We've got some sites I've picked out that I think are going to bring us some good attention. And I'm going to give a shout out to James Patterson on this. I had a design and still got one we may use too. But he said, how about promoting our tags that we have in Tennessee? And great idea. So I put this little graphic together here. Of course, the billboard's a little wider, so we've got a different version of that. But this one here is a good sample, long as it passes their approval, but they've assured me so far it's going to be fine. It shows our Tennessee Division tag that any resident in Tennessee can get. Again, it's simply going to get a tag at your local county clerk's office. And we're going to see the website at the bottom is our current division website. I'm looking at a shorter domain that will forward so we can kind of track some of this. It'll be a little better, but you'll see that when that comes out. So get those tags. That's important. And something else that your division is working on to promote our organization. We bring in funding from that. It helps fund our projects. And of course, we give some of that funding and donate it back to the Tennessee State Museum to help with preservation of Confederate artifacts. We've done flags, we've done kepis, we've done other clothing. So we want to continue our partnership with the Tennessee State Museum. So when you purchase the tags, the portion that comes back to the Tennessee Division, it doesn't just sit and hoard it up. It goes back to organizations such as the Sam Davis Home. We've helped with some of that funding from it and our many other projects in the division. So get your tag and have that on your vehicles. You got multiple ones. We know there's more tags out there and we have members. So that's a good sign. That means people are picking those tags up, and anybody in Tennessee can have one of those. So, Jason, you've been around for a while now when these kind of came into fruition and happened, and it's been very good for us.
Yes, it has. And you do not have to be a member to buy a tag. And that question comes up a lot, and we do have more tags than we do members, so that's a good thing.
Absolutely. Let's mention our Tennessee Division reunion. We've touched on that tonight. It's an election year, so it'll be a busy reunion on Friday and Saturday, April the 17th and 18th in Morristown. Of course, a meet and greet there on Friday night, and then we'll get into the business session and opening ceremonies on Saturday. So for those attending, know this will be a fast-paced division reunion. We'll have a lot to do in the business session with elections for officers. Again, if we have any challenges there, we could end up getting to ballots. And if it got to that point, that can take a while. So we will start. So those that are coming, make sure you're there when the event starts and the business session starts, because one of the first things we'll do is elections. So we make sure we have time to get those in. And then during that gap in between, we'll, of course, do other business. We've got to be done pretty fast for lunch that you'll take on the road, as we will be going and doing this right there that you see on your screen, the dedication of that new monument at the General Longstreet Museum. Shout out to Jordy Barnett and others there in the camp that have worked on this for a few years to make this happen. I know Jordy is thrilled that this is getting ready to be done here in just less than 2 months, be dedicating this monument there at the General Longstreet Museum in Russellville. And I think, Jason, it's like 25 minutes from where we're meeting and our reunion will be held. So we know that's why the business session will be fast paced. We'll keep it moving, keep it on time so we can have lunch and go to this dedication at 2, because once that's done, we want to give folks a little time to come back, rest up, and get ready for the evening banquet, which is going to be a good time. Division awards, there'll be a guest speaker. Just going to be a good evening and a good weekend. Again, April the 17th and 18th. The website, TennesseeSCB.org, if you want to register and to get there and make plans to be there. So I know a lot of folks have already done that. Looking forward to seeing everybody. It's not just a business session, but it is a family reunion, Jason.
Yes, it is. They're great.
Yeah, absolutely. So the host hotel, and somebody asked me this week, are there any rooms left in the host hotel? I don't know if Jordy's still in the chat. He could help with that question. I'm not 100% for sure, but you can still check on that. There are other hotels available as well, but the Candlewood Suites is our host hotel for the weekend. So keep that in mind to go ahead and get that done. TennesseeSC.org has all of the details. We want to go ahead and mention this tonight. We've talked about this, and Jason, I don't have an update. I believe the young man that's putting this together has had some health issues. If my memory's right, and we want to continue to remember him in our prayers.
Yes. And this was a project that he was spearheading, and he was on the chat, and he told us that they're wanting to use period instruments, not reproduction, but use period event instruments. But Mr. Bentley Langford, he has saw on social media that he has had to go in the hospital, and he is having some health issues, and that's that everybody pray for him at this time. And he is a young man. He's a young
absolutely.
man.
So we're definitely praying for him, and exciting to see a young man getting something together and organizing. So we appreciate his work and leadership there. A couple of other events before we wrap up tonight. We've gone a little longer than we said. So if you're going to watch that State of the Union, people are staying with us. I guess we'll catch it on a replay or catch the social media arguments later on. I'm sure it'll be interesting. The Army of Tennessee workshop and reunion, that's coming up in May there on May the 2nd. From 9 until 3. There you see the speakers there for the event. Lieutenant Commander Rich Garcia, Division Commander in Mississippi, Forrest Dawes, Jimmy Hill, who has served in multiple roles. He's Adjutant in Chief, I believe is correct now. Is that right?
Yes.
That's right. He served in so many roles and done so many things for the organization. It's hard to keep up with the many ones he's done. And then Connor Bond, as well, past Division Commander of Mississippi, is going to be speaking there as well. And he serves in the Army Level 2. So that's going to be a good evening in Alabama. Again, you can reach out to the Commander, Carl Jones, if you'd like details for registration. That's coming up on May the 2nd.
Yep.
Let's see. Also, we've got a couple of more here that we want to mention. The Chaplains Conference. I know our chaplain in the Tennessee Division is going to this conference here. This will be taking place at headquarters in Columbia. And you see that's coming up March the 28th. So that'll be a good time there. Dr. Tom Hyder is putting that together. And again, if you're interested, it's open for chaplains, of course. And I believe division commanders, maybe is it camp commanders as well?
Yes.
So there's the details on that. And we have that posted on our division group page as well. So if you're a Tennessee Division member and you're interested in sending someone there, get that taken care of. That's going to be a good event. And one final one here we want to mention tonight, unless you have others, Jason, also coming up on May the 2nd, there is going to be the annual pilgrimage and Confederate Memorial Service. I've seen some of the other shows have been talking about those that'll be there. Teresa Roan is going to be speaking there at the event. I know she's not in this area very much, as Adam was saying last night. So look forward to hearing her. And of course, Commander-in-Chief Donnie Kennedy will be the MC for the day and the Master of Ceremonies. And that Confederate Memorial Service starts at 11. The grounds open at 9, close at 4. I've been to a few of those. And Jason, always a good time.
Yes, it is. And I've heard Miss Teresa Roan several times, and she is fantastic. And then, of course, Strings of Secession will be providing the music. And that is our very own Mr. Mike Dunn.
It's going to be a good day there. That's coming up on May the 2nd. And that is the same day, I believe. No, sorry. That's the same day as the Army of Tennessee workshop, isn't it?
Yes.
So we got 2 events going on in the Confederation. That's okay. More the events, the better. So hope to get to make one of those, and hope you can make plans as well. And the last one we want to mention, Jason, I believe is this one. It's coming up this weekend as well. And of course, the Stephen D. Lee Institute, they talked about that last night. That's going to be there in North Carolina. If you still want to go to that, your time is running out to make plans, but it's a great lineup of speakers for this event that's held annually.
Oh, yes. And this, if you're able to go, this would be a very good one to go to, because as you can tell, they're going to be talking a whole lot about the 250th anniversary of the nation. So it is going to be, this is the 18th year that they have done this. Dr. Thomas DiLorenzo is going to be one of the speakers. He's going to be speaking on Lincoln, those unalienable rights. Dr. Jeffrey Adicott is going to be speaking on trampling on the Declaration. And then Dr. Joya, Marxism, Cultural Revolution in the South. And then our own past Chief of Heritage Operations, Mr. Ron Kennedy, will be speaking on Reconstruction and the death of the Declaration. And Walter D. Donnecandy, our Commander-in-Chief, will be speaking on the Declaration, the genesis of the Declaration. So a lot of this is going to what happened at the founding of our nation and how this has been brought forward to us. So,
And I believe Paul Graham is speaking as well, correct?
he is the master of ceremonies. He is the current chief of heritage operations, and I'm sure he's going to be saying some words. But he has a long history. He's a managing director of Shotwell Publishing, so he is very well versed in this. And so he's going to MC it. And I'm sure he's going to have a few words to say as well.
Absolutely. Well, Jason, that's a long list of events. It's 8:40. We're 40 minutes longer than we said we would tonight, but folks have stayed on with us. Again, thank you to everybody for the nice comments tonight. I enjoy working with all of our folks in the Tennessee division. Again, several have jumped on with us as the program continued tonight, so a shout out to all those, even though we didn't get all the names on the screen tonight. Time just hasn't permitted to do that in space. But again, shout out to all those folks that are with us. That join us each week here on Tennessee Tuesday. Again, as we get ready to wrap up, Jason, let's go over that list of other shows that we want to promote that are a part of SCV Chat. Of course, last night was SCV Chat, the original program. Adam Southern was there, and he talked about all the activities happening at national headquarters in Elm Springs, the Confederate Museum. Again, he was there last night. And then tonight we've had Tennessee Tuesday each week. And then Wednesday night will be Sean McFall and Look Around Florida. That will be at 7 o'clock. And again, these are all Central Time. And then on Thursday nights, remember the first Thursday night, the Commander-in-Chief has his comments. And then the other Thursday nights, Look Around Confederation, where they'll talk about different activities. And sometimes there's guests on there as well that we've seen that will probably be coming up as well. And, of course, on Friday evening, David Pope has on the Friends of Douglas Southall Freeman group that you can join there. He has a program, always very interesting, very informative, and we appreciate the work David does. And then, of course, Sunday night, our friend Mr. Michael C. Hardy with Hardy on History, and that's at 7:30. All those other programs are at 7. Got to watch Mr. Hardy this past Sunday night. Don't get to be there every Sunday, but always enjoy his talk. A lot in common there. He's a collector. He loves history, loves talking about it. Super knowledgeable, as all of our hosts are on SCV Chat. And we're glad that you've allowed us to be with you each Tuesday night. Jason, any final words that you want to leave with the folks?
Well, I want to thank everybody that has stayed with us, everybody that has come in. I want to thank you, John, for coming on and talking about this, talking about what your plans are. You're seeking re-election. I wanted you to open up and talk, and you've done a great job on that. Want to go ahead and spread the word about brigade commanders. Because I've heard several people that have announced in the Tennessee division that they want to run or running for brigade commander, running for re-election. Would love for you to come on the show. Tell everybody about yourself. Tell everybody the accomplishments, if you've been in office, the accomplishments that you have done. If you've been in office, the problems that you have encountered and how you have dealt with getting over that. And, let's let everybody get to know everybody, because that's the thing about working. All of us need to know each other so all of us can work together on this. And I want to thank everybody for staying here. I want to thank about the show sponsors, from Dr. Chris Cummins to Larry McClooney, to the 31st Regiment Engraving, to the museum at Market Hall. We want to thank everybody for this, and Beauregard's Taylor, which is a brand new one, because without that and our SCV Patreon members, we want to thank you for this. This is, without you, these shows would be very difficult. And I just want to say very difficult to impossible. Thank y'all for everything that you're doing. Yes.
Again, thanks to all our sponsors. Thank you for being with us tonight. I popped this comment up, Jason. Yes. I want to mention it here that David Pope did respond back to us there for his show Friday night, an encore presentation about John Tyler. So that's a good program. So you want to go back and watch that on the Friends of the Southall, Douglas Southall Freeman group. You can go back, watch that on coming up this Friday evening. That's 8 p.m. Eastern, and then 7 p.m. Central Time. So again,
Yeah.
thanks to our sponsors. Thanks for you for watching. I hope you'll be back with us next week as we'll have another good show planned. And again, have yourself a great rest of this week. Go catch that speech if it's still on tonight in the State of the Union. I haven't looked at any social media. I don't know if the president's done or not, but that'll be replayed, and get on social media and have some fun, I guess, with that tonight. And that will wrap us up. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being with us. Have yourself a great rest of this week, and we will see you back on next Tuesday evening.
Thank you, John. Y'all stay Southern.